join 18 ministers from the tri-state area on a pilgrimage to Israel.
Personal computers, electronic games, toys with remote controls. Very good, very good.
All right, let's go. I'm Hal Lindsey.
And I'm Cliff Ford.
And this is International Intelligence Briefing coming to you from Tel Aviv.
Only drink bottled water. You can drink the water if you want. It's not Mexico here. Another thing, if you're traveling with American currency, don't go running to the bank to change it, because you'll find that American currency is like a second currency here. We're using shekels in this country. Not American US dollars, but shekels. But most of the places we're going to stop at tourist spots.
Well, we've just witnessed the sun setting on the Mediterranean over there.
Isn't that beautiful?
Yep.
I got a little of it.
Over here, getting ready to go, and my feet is on holy ground. Angels all around. Thank you, Jesus.
I want to smell that. A couple of things I want to tell you about over here. Where we are now, Jaffa, above the port. That was one of the world's oldest, if not one of the oldest, if not the oldest ports in the world over here. Where we are right now. Jaffa, for thousands and thousands of years, almost 5,000 years, this was a port city. Story of Jonah. Jonah gets on the boat from here, down the bottom, the port. Okay? Jerusalem was about 35, 40 miles due east of here. And this port was always a port for Jerusalem. And over here, King Solomon, 3,000 years ago, Solomon builds the temple, first temple up in Jerusalem. And what?
Floats the logs into here. Lebanon, right?
Very good, very good.
We studied.
Cedars of Lebanon. Takes the cedars of Lebanon, brings them over here to Jaffa, and from Jaffa overland to Jerusalem to build the temple in Jerusalem. Yeah. That's 3,000 years ago. And basically the buildings date back to when, just about the time the Mayflower hit Plymouth Rock. Yeah. That's when these buildings were built.
Oh.
You see behind us Tel Aviv, and we're excited to be in the Holy Land and hope that you'll be able to go with us one of these days to see Israel at its finest.
Here we are going down below into the ruins. Showing the various levels of cultures that were here.
It's the whale, the big fish. The miracle of the temple doors at Jaffa Port. And this is the way it looked before, and now it's totally different. I mean, it's ruins. The atrocity at Jaffa.
We're top 20, which is, when you consider that 40 years ago we were a third world country, I think it's a big accomplishment. In 1948, that's almost 50 years ago, we were dirt poor, past Mount Carmel, maybe go up on top of Mount Carmel, see how it goes, and come down here, go to Armageddon, visit Armageddon. Oh, after Armageddon, this is in the afternoon already, we go up over here to Nazareth, and visit one church there, maybe drive through Nazareth, and walk a little bit in Nazareth, and then after Nazareth, Cana, just north of Nazareth, and then after that, head down this road to the Sea of Galilee. Our hotel's in Tiberias on the Sea of Galilee.
The Romans' higher power was in their government, and their government built buildings, built magnificent structures such as this Roman theater. The purpose of it was they believed that as long as their architecture survived, and as long as their buildings were there, that Rome would be the power of the world. But obviously now we come here as tourists to see these ruins.
But there are enough ways to venerate the which becomes very, very important, Caesarea. Very important, historically speaking, because you all heard about, I think, 70 AD. Does that name, that date, AD 70, ring a bell to something?
Yeah, that's when Jerusalem was over.
Jerusalem was destroyed. Titus destroys Jerusalem. 66 AD, we Jews take on the Roman Empire, which is stupid. I mean, well, the Romans started introducing paganism in this country, put idols up in the temple, and taxed the people to death, and killed Jews off here in Caesarea. Lots of reasons, but we took on the Roman Empire. 66 AD, war lasts for almost 6 years, 5 years, till 70 AD. 70 AD, we get defeated, Jerusalem gets destroyed. Jerusalem is destroyed, the temple is destroyed. This is no longer an independent country with Jerusalem as a capital. This is a Roman province called Palestine. They gotta look for, since Jerusalem is destroyed, they gotta look for a new city to become the capital. Guess which city for the next 300 years is the capital of the Roman province of Palestine? Guess which city?
Right here.
Tiberium marked out over here?
Yeah.
And you can make out it's real rubbed up, but US over here, Pilatus. Tiberium Pontius Pilatus, that's the Latin way of saying the governor Pontius Pilate. Okay, solid evidence. Anybody got a hammer here? Solid evidence that Pilate was here. He got a 2,000-year-old cornerstone saying Tiberium, mentioning Pilate's name on it.
You know, Sister Pearl, it's so great to be here in Israel.
Yes, it is.
And here especially at Caesarea,
Yes.
at this theater, and there's an archaeological dig going on here.
What you're seeing over here, though, the walls that we walked around next to, on the right-hand side, the moat, that's not Roman, that's Crusaders. European Crusaders 900 years ago, 1099. They come here and capture this country from the Muslims, and they control this country for 200 years till 1293. And what you're seeing here is the walls that defended the Crusader city of Caesarea just behind that.
But the flying buttresses, they increased the strength of the buildings immensely, and this could, even without any kind of help, could last another 500 to 1,000 years before the ceiling would collapse.
We're still here at Caesarea, and we're by this Roman aqueduct. Phil, in our country, if we find something 200 years old, we think it's old, don't we?
Yes, we either think it's old or we tear it down because it's a derelict.
Yes, but here, this Roman aqueduct's been here for over 2,000 years, built by Herod the Great.
Is these pine trees that we've planted, hand planted. 90% of the trees you see in this country, when we do go traveling around here, 90% of the trees you're going to see, they have been hand planted. That's the way we make it not just like the land of milk and honey the way it was in the biblical days, but also reforest the country the way it was in the biblical days. Because in the biblical days, when Jesus was walking around, I don't know if he was walking this part, but in the Galilee, he was walking there, it was all covered with trees in biblical days. Certain places are different. These roads, ancient highways marked off over here. Ancient highway, main highway goes from, here's the expression Fertile Crescent. Yeah. Fertile Crescent, Tigris, Euphrates rivers.
Inside here is fertile, goes down over here, down like that. That's called Fertile Crescent. That's the heart of civilization. That's where civilization began. Fertile Crescent, including Egypt. So I've appendage added on the end of the crescent. Everybody here conquered this land over here, the land of Canaan, land of Israel. And you ever ask yourself why 28 different empires come trudging through this country, demolishing most of the time this country? Why would they do that? But this Fertile Crescent, this is rich land. Egypt, rich country. Israel's not a rich country. It's just good enough to supply the people living on the land and live there fruitfully and abundantly, but not like Egypt in the old days. Remember the story of Joseph? When everybody's starving out, they go to Egypt. Egypt, what America is there, you're feeding half the world with all the Midwest wheat and corn and the beans, the soybeans, whatever. The ancient world, the America of the ancient world was the Nile Valley and this valley here. So what happened over here, if you're a Babylonian king, you want to get more power, where you want to go, you want to get to here. And to get to here, what do you got to go through?
You got to get everything in between.
Here, this is Saudi Arabia. You saw pictures in the desert storm. It's all desert there. You don't want to take an army, and you will see. We could take this road a couple of days down the line. We're going to take the road down here. You will see stark desert over here. You don't want to take an army through the desert, otherwise your soldiers drop dead. Okay? They didn't have the logistic supports that they have now. No water here. This west of the Promised Land, the Holy Land, is the Mediterranean Sea. You can't have soldiers trudging through on top of water. Okay, so you can't go here. You can't go west. You can't go east of here. If you're a Babylonian king, you want to capture the wealth of Egypt, you got to go through this land over here. If you're an Egyptian king wanting the wealth of Persia, you go through this land over here. If you're a Roman, you walk your soldiers all the way down to get to the wealth of Cleopatra's Egypt. You gotta go through here. Via Maris, alongside the sea. The road that goes alongside the sea. That's what the Romans dubbed it in Latin. Via Maris, the road by the sea. What you're seeing over here, Damascus, Syria. Up over here, Damascus. This road to Damascus up there. Caravans go down here, and then you got Mount Carmel. You saw how steep Mount Carmel was? You'll see again when I take you up on top of the mountain. Like natural block. Can't go through the mountains. You gotta go through a couple of passes. A rough pass that we just took, a very good pass that you will see in a few minutes later on. And a couple other little passes over here. But Megiddo, this place over here, right at the mouth of the most passable pass over here. Stone road over here, built by Canaanites over 3,500 years ago. Main road coming into town, what you gotta try and imagine is like stone walls protecting the edge of the platform out there. And the enemy can go through there. They gotta get into town through the main gate over here. You're overlooking the plains of Armageddon, or as the Old Testament calls it, the Jezreel Valley over here. Okay, now what you don't know either, Mediterranean over there on the west, on a clear day you would see the Jordan Valley in the east. This valley cuts the whole country in half. So you want to get water, you go down those steps, fill up the water, go through the tunnel, fill up water, come back through the tunnel, go up over here. But you're protected by, you're inside the defense system. You don't have to leave the defense system if the enemy attacks you. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going down here through the tunnel. A couple of foot of water in there.
You won't get hurt some popcorn.
I'll tell you what. That is a trip. That's a trip.
They trick you.
You okay, Pascal?
I'm all right.
You check and see, you don't see any mention of Nazareth in the Old Testament. It's so insignificant that when Jesus leaves Nazareth goes to Capernaum to ask him where he's from. He says Nazareth. He says, they say, what good can come out of Nazareth? It's considered Hickstown, Hicksville in the biblical days. Why I take people to this place over here, the Greek Orthodox Church of Annunciation, is that when we go inside, you'll see a typical Greek Orthodox. This is all about 225 years old. See the pews on the left when you go in. You see the altar on the right. Nice cedar with painted icons on it. Then you go down through the aisle, and there's a nice arch with about 10, 15 steps going down. And at the end of that archway, you're going to hear the spring of water coming out of the ground. Now that spring of water, that's the original spring of water that supplied water to the citizens, the residents of Nazareth.
The spring of Nazareth, and it's the only authentic thing we know of that is still here, was here when Jesus was here. Pray, Father, for this tour, that as we go, we will grow, and that as we boat on the Sea of Galilee, that we'll be reminded that it was here you said, peace, be still.
Yes.
It was here you walked on the water and said to Peter, come. It was along this coast that you chose most of your disciples.
Yes.
May this be a hallowed day for us. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Looking for us in all the wrong places. Praise God. Jesus now.
Hallelujah.
You see one white building right on the shores?
Yeah.
One white building. All right, that there's the Greek Orthodox Church of Capernaum. That's where Capernaum is. Keep on going along the shores, and you see another cluster of about 6 little
With him.
He's blocking the view. Okay. That there's where the site of the multiplication of the fishes and loaves of bread. Mark 6:30-44. Now you go left a little bit more, and you see there's a green patch that actually it's orchard. It's a grapefruit orchard. And then you all see it going up the side of the hill. The green patch goes up halfway up the hill. And then the top left-hand corner of that green patch, there's a grove of wild trees, eucalyptus trees. And in amongst the eucalyptus trees, there's a white building. See what I'm talking about? Yeah. Okay. That there's the Mount of Beatitudes. We're going to go up that hill there, and that's the chapel on. No, I'm going to drive. We're going to drive up there. Before 1967, Six-Day War. 1967, June of 1967, we kicked out the Syrians from there because they were shooting at all the boats here, and they were shooting at the farmers up there. In the Six-Day War, we drove about 15 miles inland from that edge of the plateau. Before 1967, they were up on top with cannons and machine guns shooting at us. We didn't like that too much, so in 1967 we pushed them away, and now they're about 15 miles in there. They want it back now. 150 feet deep in the middle. Contains a lot of fish, and some people there's still some fishermen fishing here, but not as much as in the biblical days, because nowadays we got fish farms with fish ponds. You'll see tomorrow when we go down south, you'll see a lot of, well, not the area we're going, but there's lots of fish farms, more commercially profitable to farm fish, not fish in the Sea of Galilee. It is, we call it a sea, but it's a freshwater lake. We actually use it as a reservoir for making the desert bloom, because most of the water collects here. The water that falls over there goes down here. The water from there comes down here, collects here. We use it in the south. Actually, we even drink it in Tel Aviv. This is our drinking water. Biggest reservoir. 1/3 of the population of Israel uses this water to drink. In Tel Aviv, all around the country, spread out. Yeah. The ruins of Capernaum, and this is the Greek Roman Catholic monastery of Capernaum. And you see through the trees there, the pink domes and the white building of the Greek Orthodox ground of Capernaum. That's what we saw on the boat. Remember I showed you right on the shore, the white building there? That there.
Capernaum, that's the grounds of Capernaum over there. Greek Orthodox, that's Catholic grounds of Capernaum. This is where 2,000 years ago there used to be a town called Capernaum. How many of you, when I said we're going to come to Capernaum this morning, how many of you expect to see, be very careful, expect to see a city here?
I don't expect
Right. Those of you who expect to see a city, you gotta read your scriptures again, because remember Jesus predicts the destruction of 3 towns over here. Bethsaida, about 2 miles down the coast. Chorazin, which is up on top of the mountains there, and Capernaum. He says these towns are going to be destroyed. Nowadays, main industry around the Sea of Galilee is tourism. In those days, fishing industry. You had hundreds of small little villages dotting the whole shores of the Sea of Galilee, and everybody who was living on the Sea of Galilee was connected with the fishing industry. And when they found this thing over here, take a picture. When they found, come over here. When they found this thing over here, the guy had some kind of idea what kind of boat the fishermen would have used. They would have had sails. When the wind was right, they would have used sails. And when it wasn't right, they would have, when there's no wind, there's 3 sets of oars. You see that? Yeah. And so they'd row on the Sea of Galilee.
Steve, I don't know how you feel about it, but it's a moving experience to stand here in front of the synagogue of Capernaum. Even though we know that that one was about 100 years after the crucifixion, it stands to reason that some of those ruins that were left there after the Romans destroyed it were probably used in the reconstruction, and it's been explained to us that it was on the old site.
Taking the 5 loaves and the 2 fish and looking up to heaven, he gave thanks and he broke the loaves. And then he gave them to his disciples to set before the people. He also divided the 2 fish among them all. They all ate and were satisfied, and the disciples picked up 12 basketfuls of broken pieces of bread and fish. The number of the men who had eaten was 5,000.
Mark 6:30-44, and that is why I took you to this place over here. Mark 6:34 tells you about Jesus coming off the boat, landing at a remote, isolated place, and the villagers from all around seeing Jesus over here come down, and multitude come over here, and Jesus tells the disciples, go feed the multitude. Time off. You walk down there and you'll see a natural theater down over here. Remember Caesarea yesterday?
Yeah.
The Roman theater?
Yeah.
Same type of thing as this thing. A natural theater where thousands of people can sit down on the slope and listen to somebody preach. Okay? And where Jesus would have been preaching is down. You see where the land is being, the flat land down there that's being farmed? That's where Jesus would have been, down on the bottom there, talking to the people, teaching the people the Beatitudes who were sitting over there. That's another fact over here, the acoustics.
Yes.
For some reason, maybe because the way the wind blows out of the Gennesaret Valley, carries the voice real well. You don't need a microphone to speak to thousands of people.
Was that lunch?
Yeah, that was lunch. Jesus' ministry.
This looks like a saintly group all of a sudden, don't you think?
Yeah, the Holy Choir is
all
here.
these white robes.
Then Jesus came from Galilee to the Jordan to John to be baptized by him. John would have prevented him, saying, I need to be baptized by you, and do you come to me? But Jesus answered him, let it be so now, for thus it is fitting for us to fulfill all righteousness. Then he consented. And when Jesus was baptized, he went up immediately from the water, and behold, the heavens were opened, and he saw the Spirit of God descending like a dove, and alighting on him. And lo, a voice from heaven saying, this is my beloved Son, with whom I am well pleased.
I'm a brand new man. Old things have passed away. I've been born again. More than a conqueror. That's who I am. I'm a new creation.
creation, a brand new man.
Style now, Bruce, or what?
Yeah, man.
We be styling.
We be styling.
He took Peter, John, and James and went up the mountain to pray. And as he prayed, the appearance of his face was altered, and his robe became white and glistening. And behold, two men talked with him, who were Moses and Elijah, who appeared in glory and spoke of his decease, which he was about to accomplish at Jerusalem.
And you and I have been commissioned by Jesus to proclaim to the whole world that Jesus Christ is Lord. You and I have been commissioned to proclaim the gospel to all nations. You and I have been called to be witnesses to the ends of the earth. That witnessing can begin on a mountaintop, wherever it is that God chooses to reveal himself to you, to speak to you. But you need to go down from this mountain, and you need to do the work that God's given you.
But that's a border fence that we patrol. You keep an eye on. Now, we haven't had problems with the Jordanians since 1970.
Jim, I think this is a desert limousine.
Rahab's house was not destroyed because she helped out the two spies. She said, I'll help you out, except you don't bother me or my family. And the spy said, okay, we'll help you out, just so we'll pass the word. You put a red ribbon in front of your door, and we'll pass the word amongst the Israelites, and the house with the red ribbon, don't bother that house. And that's the only house that was left standing. It was right next to the wall. It's the only house left standing when Jericho was destroyed. Why I always mention Rahab when I come over here. What's so important about Rahab, Barry?
She's in the lineage of Jesus.
She's the great-grandmother of King David. She is the great-grandmother of King David.
And eventually Jesus, but that's another subject.
The house of David. She is the great-grandmother, if you want, the house of David out of which Jesus comes.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, so Joshua and the Israelites capture this city. Battle of Jericho, walls come tumbling down, so don't ask me where the walls are.
They're down.
They're down, they're not around. People ask me, where's Joshua's walls?
They're gone.
They're somewhere underneath, they're not over here.
While we're here at Jericho, by the way, the ancient road is still there through the wilderness of Judea. And when we think of wilderness in America, it's a whole lot different than it is when you see it here, because it's just barren desert hills and a very lonely, scary, dangerous place. Don't want to overlook that either, because we're looking up into the wilderness of Judea, and that's the Mount of Temptation. Jesus spent 40 days up there fasting and praying and being tempted by Satan. If he didn't have food along, he certainly fasted 40 days, because there's no food supply obviously up there then or now. In either situation, it had to be quite an experience Jesus went through for us, so that he might know every temptation that we know, and yet he came through as pure gold. And because he can withstand temptation, we, through him, have the same power to stand against the enemy. Praise God.